Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. I've been trading cannabis stocks since October 2010. We had a strong start to the week, a run up into the debate, and then an all-out dump on Friday. Couple headlines. Where do we stand now? What are we looking at as we head into July? Let's get to the charts. Real quick before the charts, I'm going to do a webinar Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern with the topic, How Cannabis and Psychedelics Made Me a Better Trader. I've been asked about this a lot. I'll go into it. It'll be a bit more informal and more of a back and forth chat and questions and things like that, but certainly an interesting topic I'm looking forward to talking about. So we had a run up leading into the debate. In my opinion, that was some hopeful retail that we were going to get, a debate question about cannabis and that, that we would go up from there. Didn't happen, and there were a lot of factors leading to this huge drop on Friday. Number one, broader market sold off from a double top at all-time highs on the futures. Pretty decent pullback, 1 to 2% from the high for the entire market. Number two, obviously, people selling the fact that cannabis was not mentioned. Number three, headline at the end of the day, which led to a pretty fierce dump accelerating. The IRS said, hey, cannabis companies, you still have to pay these taxes until rescheduling is official. And, dealing with 280E, and you look to Trulieve and say, well, they got 100 million plus refund. Is that because of the medical aspect of their business? Don't really have those details, but it's essentially, is the IRS going to come knocking to these companies? I don't think so. But long story short, it was a negative headline with the IRS saying, hey, pay your taxes. And so that led to things getting a bit extreme. So again, my standpoint, I'm not expecting a whole lot this summer. I'm going to start focusing again later summer, looking for, ideally, Florida legalization to pass. That's the biggest short-term catalyst for me. I know a lot of people care about Schedule 3 and SAFE and things like that. But really, I'm focused in on Florida from here, personally, because I think that's the most clear setup where if it passes, these Florida companies are an easy plus 100%. And if it fails, then it's going to suck the wind out of these Florida companies. So that's my focus, but going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing, just show you how I'm trading these things, and just know, some people on social media ask me for receipts in terms of, show your trades if you're saying you're doing this. And, obviously it's in hindsight publicly often. Just know that I am, anytime I say something publicly, I've got the receipts. And I've been talking about, posting some of my trades and things like that within Twitter conversations. And yeah, so let's get into, and I'll post some conversations and we'll see where we stand. So 2 weeks ago, I went long. Why did I go long? Because MSOS hit first daily oversold conditions after the big run up. And we just reached a short-term climax kind of setup, or at least a short-term bounce. And you can go back. I would highly suggest, if you're really into this and you want to learn more, go back and watch the last two videos and see how it played out step by step. Because I was saying we're looking for a weekly bounce. We know that the most likely result of a weekly bounce will be a weekly lower high. That mindset of the trade premise tells me I'm going to be taking profit on this move up. And so I take a little profit on the initial move, and then I take profit leading up into yesterday. The setup was clear as far as it being a sell the news event. What's the probability that they're going to get a cannabis question? For me, it was less than 50%. It was less likely to happen. If you just run up in a week and a half on a very bearish sector, the most bearish sector in the market the last 5 weeks, if you run up 19% very quickly into that, it's you take profit into that move. And so the setup was there on Thursday for just knowing how hard we were running. The harder we run bull, the more likely I'm going to take profit. And so many people's brains, retail's brains, is the harder we run bull, the more excited I'm going to get, and the more I'm going to be looking for more, essentially. Possible sector pulls back a bit if there's no mention in the debate tonight. Then we spend the next hour, Thursday morning, ripping, and I say I will be trimming swings a bit into the debate if we keep this up. And so I was selling Trulieve, 1030s, 1040s on Thursday. And actually, bulls got a second chance the first 5-10 minutes of Friday here. We opened in the 1070s. So taking profit. I still have a small position, but at this point, the break even on those positions, if I enter, I believe for Trulieve, again, these are on Twitter, these orders, but I entered 860s. I sold some 890s. My break even was 840, something along those lines. Break even was 840. then if I just sell some 1030s, 1040s, I mean, really my break even of this position now is $7, low sevens. And so that just gives me breathing room. I'm in complete control of that trade, where if the sector dumps for the next 6 weeks, we get to my break even point and I can make a decision then. But just keeping small cores and trading around them. And the next question for me is, can we hold the recent lows? Is this a weekly bear flag? We look at the bounce retracement size on MSOS, and it is right off 382. And if it's anything 382 or less, is likely a bear flag. If we get up over 50%, we look for an equilibrium. Google Chart Guys Fibonacci for a video explaining that in terms of determining most likely scenarios based on sizes of consolidation. So what the bulls have to do is hold this low of 688 or break it with no follow through. But again, just giving back a very bullish week in one day. And again, the end of the day just got real ugly real quick. We went from 761 in MSOS down to 714 in just over an hour. So real beat up on that dump. And we have space for a daily lower high now. Let's just say there's a big turnaround next week. We can bounce 5% and set a daily lower high. So what are the most likely scenarios? A weekly lower high. Is it set? I don't know yet. It's one day of trading. It looks like it certainly could be. It's a very ugly weekly candle. But again, you go back to, if you go back after I made my entries on the break of 7, if you go back to last Friday morning and after that day, after that start, if you asked me what is the probability that we're going to be a daily bear flag and drop to lower lows, in this moment here, I would have said 70% chance. This is why it's so important to establish a game plan in advance and stick to it. If I didn't have any game plan, that kind of move could make me sell my position. But I know what my game plan is. I'm not selling unless we drop to lower lows. And then the what I thought in the moment would have been the less likely scenario. Again, it's essentially just preventing myself from being able to react to my emotions in the moment. So we get the follow through on the move. And, could that happen on the weekly chart? Yes. But again, it's just knowing the weekly lower high is the most likely scenario just keeps me from getting any kind of excitement. People were messaging me on Twitter asking about buying on Wednesday and Thursday because of how strong it was. And, my mindset was, we're waiting for a weekly lower high is most likely. And, I love missing initial moves. I know that sounds crazy. Give me a big old move, quick roll back to 2022 Microsoft. And I still have this position up 100%. And it was looking at a very fearful market. I missed this bounce. I missed a bounce. Every day was green. And we went from 219 we went up 11% in a matter of a week and a half. And my mindset is, okay, now I'm paying attention. Bulls just proved something to me. I enter on the higher low. I enter on this higher low, sell a little bit, put my stop under that level, still in that position. I love if I'm looking counter momentum, prove something, bulls, I get in on the higher low. So how that relates to MSOS, I would have hoped we would have seen more if I'm going to look for that. But again, if you're on the sidelines, you hope that you get bulls giving you a reason to look long, and then you scout, I'm all over the map here, then you scout the higher low entry. Give me a 50% plus retracement bounce. I'll see you on the higher low. I have a support level to be playing off of, but this is not a strong enough bounce at this point. So it's looking like we are heading lower. TCNNF, again, big bearish candle. Weekly time frame bounce retracement was a little bit better. 45% plus bounce retracement, just about 50%. So that's okay. But again, we've got to hold this low. There's a base in the $8 now. Got to hold $8 and try and recover. And so again, I did reload a little bit. The way I played this is I'm very actively trading because I'm just doing other things, managing my IRA and things like that, day trading, and I see these things happening. And if TCNNF is down 5%, whatever, I'm not even going to worry about it or do anything. You show me it's down 13%. All right, I'm going to trade this. And so the big red day today, how I played it is selling yesterday, reloading today, 883 of what I sold, sell it at 999. Quick 1.5% in a matter of 10 minutes. I'm just continuing to drop my cost basis. I then reloaded at the end of the day. I guess I should keep my receipts. TCNNF. And this is in the last, minutes of the day. But just grabbing some at 902. And I reloaded some GTBIF that I sold at 1181. Just into that real short-term fear. And just flipping small positions. And trying to continually lower my cost basis so I stay in complete control of the trade and can wait until we get to late summer into the fall and have some position. And obviously looking to build into more size by then, but just always having some skin in the game to be keeping an eye on things. GTBIF holding on really well on the monthly chart, comparatively speaking, but obviously selling off with everything. There is more of a base of support established here. A lot of names here dropped to a lower low, and Green Thumb did not. Again, we gave back the week, most of the week of green. And just watching the lower highs. Just watch, this is the weekly chart. We topped out, we set a lower high. We actually broke a resistance level. Again, that's why Green Thumb continues to stand out. So let's see, Green Thumb did just get to the highest level on Thursday. It was the highest level that we've seen in over a month. And you look at something like Curaleaf, and if we were going to get to the highest level that we've seen in over a month, we would have needed to have gotten up to like 460. So very different look there. We would have needed 10% more. And if you just look at Green Thumb divided by Curaleaf, it'll show you it is way stronger. And it's testing the strongest it's ever been comparatively. So Curaleaf, weekly chart, we already dropped to the lower low today. The low was 384, and we hit 380. So now we're looking at 379 and 345. I was stung by a wasp, but I'm slowly feeling my head swell. So bear with me, because the head is starting to pound. But Curaleaf is bearish, is weaker. It's the weakest of these names. I haven't even looked at Cresco in weeks. It's doing the same thing. Just giving it back. So, have to hold the recent lows. If not, here we go again. Bears in full control. A lot of volume behind this move. Prove it, bulls. Show us something. On to the higher listed name, CGC, fresh lows, slow bleed. Nothing has changed from the slow bleed. Didn't even get any kind of meaningful bounce when the US side did. This was a nice bounce, which is why I played it, because MSOS, and again, the span of 7 trading days goes 19%. And you look at Trulieve, and in that span, 7 or 8 trading days, 28%. So those are worthwhile moves. And CGC, not even close. So just slow bleed. 609 is the next level we're watching. After 609 is 570. Just watch those daily lower highs. Absolutely nothing has changed. We topped out, lower high, lower high. Every dinky bounce is just a lower high. I've been talking about that with Trulieve for a long time. This is the support zone here. 160 to 165 has held many times. It held again. Nice trade there. 161 to 174, 8% in a couple of days, but giving it back to test this support. We will need to hold 161 and break 174 if bulls are going to prove that this support is going to hold again this time around. ACB keeps fading. GRWG keeps fading. 207 next support level there. SNDL got a little bit of a bounce with the US side of things, holding 175. Again, these are the bases of support that the bulls are trying to maintain. So it's nice to see some responsiveness and not just falling straight through it. But again, these are just very weak bounces at this point. Look at how much space SNDL has for a weekly lower high. It's a head and shoulders. Even if we get this weekly bounce, there's a ton of space for that lower high. Psychedelic space, keep an eye on MNMD. It's the only name I care about in the space right now. A monthly higher low is the most likely scenario after going over 500% off the lows. Tons of space for that monthly higher low. You can see the bear momentum is slowing, and the bulls are attempting to hold $7. Base of support. I'm not aggressive enough to be playing off $7 right now. If I were, could have easily, buy at 7.10, sell at 7.20. Buy at 7.10, sell at 7.20. How many times has that been on the table in the last week and a half? So some bulls that are paying attention and trading it actively now have a break even under $7 and trying to let it play out. But my point is, it's all bears still. It looks like the scales are starting to attempt to tilt. Key resistance is 769. Anything under it is just a daily low or high. But keep an eye on it because that momentum may shift into a monthly higher low attempt. Bulls would want to see IWM and XBI showing strength as a tailwind to try and help MNMD. But again, just being real picky in these sectors, smaller position sizes when we don't have headline news catalysts and, social media fervor around these names. And I know most of you are just sitting tight and being patient. That's fine if that's part of your game plan. And we'll see what we get. Can bulls defend those recent lows or are fresh lows on the table? Burden of proof is on the bulls. A lot of retail traders that get in red positions make excuses for that company as to why it's underperforming or why they'll keep holding or why it's fine. And I have the opposite approach. Give me the reason that you are earning my money. And it has to be showing me on the chart, not the story of the fundamentals. Do good things. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Next week, perhaps. Shortened holiday week. No promises.